Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 47 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view that's somewhere in the middle. My name is Kendall Ayala. The guy doing weird things with his hands over there is Corey Hubble. And then we've got his brother over there, Dylan Hubble. And we are pleased to be meeting you once again from home. One of these days we'll be back in studio and recording and making things sound lovely again. At the moment, we're still doing the Zoom thing like the rest of you are. So let's talk about that for a minute. How are you guys doing? How's the quarantine treating you today?
Just to jump right in off of what you said, we had a very luxurious studio, and now we're stuck with these Zoom calls. I mean, when you go from catered food, multiple pools, TVs everywhere, Zoom calls from home aren't the same, but I'm glad that we still going to do the show. So I'll take it. But looking forward to being back in the studio.
The Zoom calls, however, allow you to do this. Welcome to the Millennium Falcon, where I'm playing holochess and my hat occasionally disappears, depending on what angle we're looking at. No, it's
wait, where did you say you were again? I've been looking for you.
Oh, I'm nowhere.
Oh, wait.
Nice. Is that the Star Destroyer?
That's something, you know what? We just got done talking about how most of our people are, the podcast listeners, which is cool, which is what we want. But that was a little thing for video that we're laughing at. No one's going to get it except for maybe 12 of you.
We're making a strong case for why they should watch the YouTube.
You know what? You should do both.
Yeah. Wherever you do whatever you do, be sure to rate and review.
You made it rhyme even.
Yeah, cool, huh?
That it's more compelling when you rhyme it.
No, it is weird to not be able to get together regularly. I do like, obviously the how easy it is to do this. And some have even said, "Hey, I like this better." For those that do watch, you can see our beautiful faces and see, because we're usually staring at the back of Kendall's head when we do the studio.
It's true.
Until we buy some extra cameras, but no, it's been interesting. The quarantine, man. People are starting to get a little. I think I said this last time. People are starting to get a little. They're ready to get back to normal. I put it that way.
The fun little moments and realizations are not cutting it anymore. We've learned what we could.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we learned we didn't like.
We didn't like what we learned. And we're ready to pretend like everything is fine again. No, Sherry brought this up today, and I think that this is where our family got. The governor of Ohio sort of announced some things that we're going to start doing to reopen, and how do we do that safely and so that we don't go backwards and all of that. But there's this conversation she brought up that's happening now that nobody really wants to talk about, which is every household sort of going, yep, heard the president, heard the governor. So what are you guys going to do? Like, we're starting to hang out with neighbors a little more. Some of our neighbors are even having other friends over and they go have a drink on their back patio, but they're like, nope, you didn't see anything. We didn't do anything. Nothing happened here. So like, there's this sort of whole layer of secret sort of like, are you guys hanging out with anybody? What's your sort of philosophy? How are you? And then you don't know where everybody else is, like how seriously they're taking it, so that there's things that you'd probably be okay with, but you're not sure where they stand, even family. So you're not sure how to bring it up and say, what are you guys doing? So yeah. That's the conversation we had today. Sherry's dad came over and it was like, do we let him in the house? And does he not hug the kids? Like, we don't see him that often, but if we let him in the house, then it's kind of a slippery slope. The kids don't understand what they're not allowed to do and touch and not do. So where are you guys kind of at with all of it?
We're still 6 feet away, people. So we had someone come over to the house the other day, and we did not let him in. We stood on the porch and talked for a few minutes and went away. Corey, I dropped off something at your house and stayed outside and tried to keep a buffer. You kept inching in.
Well, that's one of those things where I was
I'm kidding.
No, that's a great point though, because I was like, your kids got out of the hunch.
Yeah, but I was watching them, and I was making sure, like, if they got too close, like your kids, I was going to stop it.
I was cool with, but I'm like, I don't know if he's so. Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is, like, I talked to a friend today, somebody I respect highly, that's sort of centrist themselves. I mean, they certainly take it all in, both sort of points of view, and they're very wise. And I said, so what is your family kind of doing? And he said, I think we're at that stage where they can't say it from a podium, but they kind of know people are starting to hang out, like little pods of little small groups of people, neighbors, family members, things like that. And they can't officially condone it, but they kind of know it's happening. And honestly, part of the flattening the curve thing in his mind is some of us, if you've been in your house for 6 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever it is, you've either had it and passed it, or you've not. You don't have it.
Right.
And so basically his philosophy was, we're selecting a small group of people, and we're sort of just going to be normal with those people. As part of the small groups of people will lead to bigger groups of people, will lead to bigger groups of people safely. And that's just what we're going to do.
I guess, yeah, that makes sense. I went out for the first time. I've gone out to drive around or whatever, but I've not set foot inside of a store for like 3 weeks. Until last Saturday. I went to this past Saturday. It's it's Monday when we're recording this. So a couple of days ago, went into Meijer and wore a face mask. I was delighted to see that almost everyone else was also wearing a face mask. And whether or not it's helpful, it's good that there's that many people taking it seriously still. Mm-hmm. But that was, and in part for me, that was just because I had to. Mm-hmm. We needed something. We could have ordered it. We've been doing the Kroger pickup stuff for a while. Mm-hmm. But man, I craved just being in Meijer. So I put on my mask and did it, and that was a big deal for me. We're in a rare situation, I think, in our home. My wife was sick a few weeks ago with a pretty nasty cough, and our kids had something that had a fever related to it.
Yeah.
As well at around the same time. And my wife, working in a hospital, they have a protocol there where if you're sick with any kind of symptoms, before you go into work, you need to call them. They have a hotline set up for this. And so she called that hotline. They asked the questions, and with the answers that she gave, they decided that she needed to get tested for COVID. And she was not allowed to go into work until she was. And so they gave her the green light. She needed something special from them to go ahead and get tested. She went and got tested. That the next morning, I think, the test came back negative, so she did not have it. So then she went back to work. When she went back to work, so she works in the chemistry lab, and kind of her counterpart in the biology lab was working on setting up this antibody test, which is a blood test. So if you've heard them talking about the antibody test, it's something that's going to be very important, because that's going to find out if you have the antibodies. That means at some point in time you were exposed to COVID-19. So if it's positive, it means you had it it could have been in February, but you had it at some point. And that's important to know going forward what your risks are.
Right.
And so they're setting it up. The biologist is setting this stuff up, and she needed guinea pigs who were, specifically, she was looking for people who tested negative, who were tested for COVID and negative, and she could use them as a guinea pig to try to set up this antibody test. So our family has benefited from one of us even getting the antibody test, which was also negative. So we know that it's not been in our home at all yet. And so I think that's one thing that I've heard a lot of people say, even you, Corey, and even I and other people that I know and respect, like, who think, I think I had this back in January or February. I had something like it. Well, that same, like when the flu was going around in January and was shutting down schools, then a lot of people had this very coughy, nasty flu. That also went through our house. And so if what we had was the same thing as what you had, it wasn't COVID.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, that doesn't mean much. There's a lot of viruses out there, but
Sure.
But for at least us, we know that we were very sick in January, and whatever that was, it was not COVID-19.
The more people I talk to, the more people that are convinced they had it. This could be just, people being people. But even 3-4 weeks ago, we had neighbors that they run in a tight little circle with another family in the neighborhood. And they're like, we're all together anyway. The kids, we're not going to stop them from playing. And so they've just kind of said, like, at least for their households, that back to what I was saying earlier, this whole idea that we're going to just start hanging out with pick a circle and just start hanging out with that small circle, and then just keep an eye on everything and just see how you're feeling. But they've basically been doing that for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Way before I would have been comfortable doing that. But it gets to a point where you're like, I've been in here for 5 weeks. I know you've been in your house for 5 weeks. Like, Dylan, what about you? What's your family kind of choice on you just kind of hunkering down?
Well, we had been, I had I'll say the luxury of getting to work from home, because not everyone had that option. I had the luxury of working from home and have been since March 13th. The last time I went out was almost 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we had been able to, we go out for walks and things, but like Kendall said, to actually go into a store and have to buy groceries or something, it's been weeks. So we were kind of waiting until what we heard was going to be kind of the peak. We had heard about, like, let's hit the top or let's start to come down, and we were going to wait for that. And seems like we're kind of there. And then we wanted to wait and see what the governor's response was. So we had been discussing that throughout the day. Like, this basically the same thing. Let's introduce 1 or 2 other family groups of people that are least likely to be out and about, and see how that goes for a week or 2. My in-laws are closest to us in proximity. But my father-in-law is still going to his office and interacting with some people at his office. So we're not exactly sure what that's going to look like, but I think it's the same thing everyone else is probably thinking. Let's introduce a couple people and see how it goes. The stay-at-home order has been no more than 10 people. So at any time that could have been a couple extended family members or neighbors or somebody, depending on who it was, but we really haven't done any of that. And we're probably just as much itching to get out there and see family and be around family like everybody else is. So it's tough. We had talked about introducing a couple folks and see how it goes, probably like everybody else.
We had a cousin that lives back north near Lima, and they were like, I don't know where you guys are with it, but like, and no pressure at all. But what if, I came down and hung out with you guys for a day or 2, and we're like, the thing is really just how you talk to kids about it, because the way we explained it, Kendall, I told you this the other day in the driveway. Sherry and I's nephew, it was his birthday during all of this. And so again, here's Sherry and her sister. They don't really know where each other are with how seriously they're taking it or not taking it. So it was like, hey, it's his birthday. We want to see him, bring him his favorite treat. We'll just bring sports chairs and put them in the garage and like make a circle 6 feet apart and visit with you guys, which for me, you know, a social butterfly, touchy-feely kind of guy, actually almost made it worse, because it's like, I just want to hug you guys and like, but you can't. And so before we went over, though, at dinner that night, we were explaining to our kids, because, you know, this is hard for kids to understand, especially when you got a 5-year-old, right? And we're like, okay, we're going to go see your cousins, but you can't like be hugging on them or giving them hugs and kisses and stuff. You have to stay away. And he's like, what? And we're like, we're going to go there. We're going to go to their house, but we're not going to go inside, and you just got to stay away. And he's like, ah. And so Sherry goes, basically just pretend like you have glitter all over you. And our family can share glitter, but you can't share the glitter with another family. And right when she said that, from his burrito, he dropped some pinto beans on his shirt. And he goes, or beans. Like, don't share your glitter or beans. Which, you know, not putting your beans on someone is just generally a good philosophy to
Yeah, I was gonna say that'll keep you out of prison.
Some countries have laws against it even. So
yeah.
So then the joke now in our family is, don't share your glitter or beans. And so with the whole thing about a cousin saying, I don't know where you guys are, I respect, you know, I don't know what it's like, well, if they're going to be in the house, nobody's going to be able to follow them enough to Lysol and spray off everything they touch. So at some point, once they're in the house, you're already sharing the same air and the same germs and the same food. Like, if you're bringing them into your home, you can tell the kids it's okay to pretty much do whatever. So it's tricky, but I think Sherry's right. I think more and more people, whether it's because you're getting antsy and you're just ready to just go back to life as it was before all of this, or just you sense that the country is opening back up and maybe there are things that they know are happening from a government perspective that they can't condone or endorse. And it's like, at some point, I mean, I even had a friend told me, he's like, I'm lifting the stay-at-home order in the quarantine. We can't, this has gotten out of hand. For our family, we're done with it.
I did see a funny meme that was like a 2-block meme, and the top meme was somebody all decked out and they're in some kind of bunker and they're a prepper, and it's like, I could live in here for years if I had to. And then the bottom one was them upset that they couldn't go out, and like, and it was the Maury Povich, like, and our test shows that was a lie.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely a couple solid camps in there, but even at this, like, I feel like the more people I talk to about it, the more I realize that there's more people from the middle, and it's like a lot of other things, like the extreme opinions are on the fringes, and so I mean, it's like the fringes are the loudest. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So we hear everybody. We hear the people who are screaming and crying government conspiracies over all this and all of that, and I mean, some of them are just legit crazy. Some of them think that, you know,
Crazy Pete.
like Crazy Pete. Some of them think that the United States government has this whole big system in place where they created this whole thing and planted it in China and whatever. And so there is that. Those people are nuts. But then the other people who are just like who look at the numbers and their interpretation of those numbers, right or wrong, is that, you know what, they've never gotten it right and they were way off and they're just not admitting it at this point. And so maybe it wasn't as bad as it was, as we all thought. And then there's the other people who are like, listen, the brightest scientific minds are the ones who are in charge, and they're the ones we should be listening to. And
they're learning too. Nobody knew all of the facts going into this.
Right. Yeah.
Many times this is new.
Yeah. But my point is, and then you
the
end up with this
chunk in
debate
there.
too.
The large chunk in there is the group of Americans that don't like being told what to do, whether it severely irritates them or just mildly irritates them. They just don't like being told. We don't. I didn't mean to make it political. It was more of a funny jab at the prepper.
No. This isn't necessarily in direct response to what you had said. But no, but this is just another observation, right? That as it does get made political and protest groups from one side of it and are prevalent, and I mean at some point protest groups from the other group are going to be prevalent and have been prevalent in the past, and it's gotten politicized like anything else. And I just want to repeat myself when I say let's just not assume the worst in people when it comes to disagreements. Let's assume that both of those sides actually want what's best for their families and yours, because I think that usually that's going to be true. And whether or not, I mean, for sure, when it comes to something like this, some people are right and some people are wrong. But just because someone's wrong doesn't mean that we should shame them and shut them up. And I don't know. That's my thought of the day.
Sherry shared something with me today that she saw on Facebook, and it goes down a bunch of them. I won't read all of them, but it's like, some people don't agree with the state opening. That's okay. Be kind anyway. Some people are still planning to stay at home. That's okay. Be kind anyway. And it goes through a bunch. And basically at the end, it says, the point is everyone has different viewpoints and feelings, and that's okay. Be kind anyway. If you want to go out, go. Just respect others when in public and be kind. Don't judge fellow humans because you're not in their story. We all are in different mental states than we were months ago. Be kind anyway. Anyway, it listed like 12 different ones, but I was like, that's a great point. And that sounds like Pollyanna, sort of like, why can't we all just get along? But if I've said it once in the last 5 weeks, both with work and church friends and stuff like that, you know, some of these interactions have been tough, or sometimes a person that you know and love, friend, family member, they act in a way that's sort of different, and you go, okay, stop, pause. 98% of my interactions with them have been positive. If in the last 5 weeks they've said or done something that's sort of an outlier, something that didn't really line up with the things that they normally say or do, or they were a little more prickly than they normally are, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt during this time. Grace upon grace upon grace. So, yeah.
I'm a lot pricklier than normal. I haven't shaved in like 6 months or showered 9 months.
Speaking of shaving, Kendall, that's the closest I've ever seen your beard.
This is the closest it's been in a very long time. Well, there was a short stint like 4 years ago or so where I had the full-on Fu Manchu and I had the handlebar mustache with the soul patch, but the cheeks were shaved.
Yeah.
So if you count that, technically that was closer, but the mustache was much thicker than it is now. Full beard, short. This is the shortest it's probably been in a decade.
I like it. When you came over and dropped something off, you said you did not like it.
I don't. I want a little more than not drastic. I have enjoyed in the past. I think it's been a year or so now that I kind of like cut the whole long thing off. A little over a year maybe. I like it better. It's easier to do than it was. I mean, I used to have to comb the thing and try to keep it neat and whatever. The mustache thing is the worst. If you ever try to grow a mustache out, especially into like handlebar-ish kind of length, disgusting things happen. We're talking like it goes in your mouth. like when you could put something in your mouth and your mustache catches it and it goes into, and what you don't realize is you can't tell right away that it's in there. And then as you start chewing whatever it is you're eating, that grinding starts to circulate and starts to pull in further and further and further and further, and you're tugging on your lip. Then you got to pull your mustache out of your mouth.
Hey, do we have any statistics where listeners typically drop out? Or as how many minutes into the show, or I don't know.
Sometimes you can predict things, you know?
Yeah. I was just curious.
So I haven't shaved since I was in Australia for that conference.
Oh, when you gave Tom Hanks COVID.
Yeah. And so I haven't touched it, and it's getting pretty long, but the thing is happening now where it's like longer than your top lip.
Mm-hmm.
It's in that, and I gotta like push it out to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is about 9 months worth right there. You can see it. Get in there.
I always joke that Dylan's hair, because of his fair skin, is like fishing line. It's like
There, yeah.
clear.
I'm excited to talk about all of the things that were trendy only during quarantine in like 3 or 4 months. As soon as Animal Crossing is one of those right now. It just hit at a crazy time.
Perfect timing.
We're going to talk about Tiger King and making bread and like all of these things that were like super popular for a hot minute again. I'm so excited. That's going to be a great future episode.
You just bought Animal Crossing. Do you like it?
I did. Yeah, I did. So you told me, I think, how much you were playing it. And a very good friend of mine that lives in Switch, a very good friend of mine that lives in Baltimore is like, you're going to buy it. You're going to buy it. And so I ended up ordering it and just had it shipped from online. And it's really good so far. I literally had no idea. Like, my knowledge of Animal Crossing was cutesy Nintendo, and you interact with other cutesy Nintendo characters. I had no idea what the game was about. So I'm like furiously texting my buddy in Baltimore, asking him like, so what does this mean? How do I win? Like, he's like, dude, this is like a relaxing game. You're just supposed to, this is an unwind, listen to the music and it is not, there's no winning or losing. I said, yes. I was like, somebody told me I had to pay back this guy early in the game or else. I said, I assumed it was a joke because the game's too cutesy that he's not going to like break kneecaps. But like, I don't know how this game goes.
I saw you reached out to the dad gaming community. And so, like, I don't know anything about the game. What should I expect? And the best comment was, hope you like chores.
Yeah, that's the game. You're doing chores in the game. And I don't know how many, I picked more digital weeds in the last 3 days than I have my entire life. And if you play the game, you'll know what I mean. And I've picked up more sticks and more weeds and more trash digitally in days.
So for Kendall, who hasn't had a console,
this sounds unappealing.
Yeah. I don't know how to pitch it yet. This is new to me.
You get one private island per console.
Okay.
And every profile on the console, so my kids play, they all get to change the island as well. But the first person to play sort of acts as the de facto leader on the private island. And it's just super bubbly, cute characters. It's a cute version of The Sims.
Okay.
If you've at least seen that or know what the concept of that is. But there's this really relaxing acoustic guitar music. And it's an island and you hear the water crashing on the beach. And you just have to maintain the island. Pick up sticks, pick up weeds. But if you're a control freak like I am, and you're OCD about things matching and lining up nicely, well, the kids can also build on and manipulate the things on the island now.
Okay. So details like hedgerows, paths, where homes are, certain flowers, certain trees. You can build, like you can fence in a little grove of trees that are a variety of things if you want. Like that level of tedious.
So Corey spends all of his time fixing things.
So So that's one of the biggest criticisms of the game, the people who didn't realize that each user couldn't get their own island, that you all share one island.
If you have multiple people playing on the same console.
Right.
Right.
So there are articles that are like, Animal Crossing is ruining my family's life. Because they're arguing about, why would you plant a tree right in front of the front door? You would never do that in real life. So anyway, maybe some people who, if we know our audience, and some of them are geek dad gamers who might be playing the game, they can certainly relate. So anyways.
Yeah. There you go. But there's going to be a whole batch of trends that we can look back on, and it's going to be wonderful. It's kind of like any of those Facebook groups or like Reddit groups that are like just purely nostalgia. I saw one today that a kid was sitting at a mid-90s, sitting at a computer with the speakers built into the monitor, and he had Age of Empires 2 on the screen, and then there was the Cherry Coke can that was all red with the really blocky Cherry Coke letters that were all wonky, and you just look at those pictures and go, yep, I feel that picture. I feel it. So anyways, Animal Crossing's been fun. If you're listening to this podcast and you have any tips or want to chime in, go ahead and let us know on our social media.
So Dylan and I have always had this theory that a high customization factor in any game makes it more enjoyable for the player. I think way back to the days of like gateway computers and the entertainment packs, our Uncle Kevin had a NASCAR game. I think it was like NASCAR 99, if I remember correctly. And it was like, if you could imagine the NASCAR, each side, the top and the back and everything, but like laid out flat, like it was cardboard about to be folded into the shape of a NASCAR. In what was equivalent to like Microsoft Paint, you could draw on the top and the sides of the NASCAR and make your own custom designs. I did that for hours. And so that's one of the features of Animal Crossing, is that you can make your own artwork and then apply that artwork to either canvases in your home or the home itself or your clothing. So like, I got a buddy who works for Lego. His name's Wes. He's making like really sweet clothing, and then he can share his creator code, and then we can download his stuff. Homage, the clothing company in Columbus, they're doing all this like custom Ohio artwork for Animal Crossing.
Is that homage?
Or homage, yeah.
Like you pay homage to something?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
I'm being all fancy. Foyer.
Homage. So yeah, there it is in a nutshell. But I'm enjoying it. Now that I've realized it's doing chores, I like it a lot more. That I've embraced it.
I thought that would be something that Bree would enjoy. Like when
she might, but she's not allowed to play because she'll mess up my island. So she's gonna have to get her own Switch.
Finn can watch you play and just hear the.
I did. I thought she might like it, so I docked the Switch and put it up on the TV, and she watched it longer than she watches anything else, which is about 2.5 minutes. So she enjoyed it for those 2.5 minutes.
So yeah, it's a fun game, but like we said earlier, I think it just hit at the perfect time where, you know, you can look back at countless things. Like 1977 Star Wars was a success because it was post-war America and people wanted to escape into a fantasy adventure. And so it just hit it like the perfect time. It's a much bigger example, but I think Animal Crossing feels that way. Tiger King feels that way because we're all in our houses. We're not allowed to go anywhere. And so a game where there's this relaxing guitar music and the waves crashing on the beach and you just go pick up sticks.
Yeah, but you can, I mean, I feel like an old guy. It's a boomer thing for me to say. If you want to pick up sticks, come to my house.
I was just waiting for you to say, or you could pick up actual sticks.
Yeah.
Why would I want to do that? To be fair,
because they feel like the real thing. That's
to be fair, I get paid a lot more gold for picking up fake sticks than I do real ones.
Correction.
Well, I mean, I'll give you fake gold all day long if you want.
I was trying to keep it less nerdy for the audience.
Nope, we need to be as nerdy as possible. You get bells. That's the currency on
gold bells.
What else is going on, fellas?
You know, I'm a little surprised that I was thinking at least one person would comment on me wiping out all of my queues and lists from the episode last week, and not a single reaction to that. Not even like you're an idiot, no one cares. Like not even a single one. So I'll update you, even though no one cares, because that's what you do. You focus your topics on things that no one engaged you around.
Okay, Dylan.
So that's our strategy.
Let's hear about your queue.
I still feel good about it. That's all I'm gonna say. That's the whole update. I still feel good about it. I'm glad.
Choice.
Yeah, and actually, because I had this whole like, what am I gonna watch now thing. I think I commented when Disney Plus first came out that if you go to the search bar, they have like Disney by the decades. So I actually went back to the 20s and 30s and just started with Steamboat Willie. A lot of those are like 6-7 minute like shorts. And I just started watching some of the old Disney shorts because I didn't feel like, oh, I've got a queue. I've got to go watch, all this stuff. And it was, it was interesting. You see the art develop really, really quickly in some of those first couple shorts. So yeah, it's good. I'm glad I did it.
Maybe it's because you're still referring to it as a queue.
Maybe.
Which is what it was called when Netflix still sent DVDs to your house.
But I was also referring to like 3 or 4 different services. So I felt like it was easier to just call it a queue for all of them. Fine. Queue / my list. Cleared them out.
But we did have a lot of interaction with all of you on the From the Middle for the Middlers page.
Yeah.
So that's already up to almost 100 members, and we're going to keep that community going.
Yeah. Share your weird stuff. Be weird with us. It's safe to be weird.
Totally safe to be weird.
Entirely without talking to you guys about it. Just mentioning it on the podcast last week and this week. I want to see weird stuff. I want that group to become the weird group.
Well,
So that would entertain the heck out of me.
I mean, if there's a line though.
We'll worry about that line when it comes.
Just say,
I want to find out where that line is.
I'll just give you my line then.
Okay.
I don't want to have to testify before a courtroom because of something shared in the group. I'll leave that one there.
Let's keep it legal.
There you go.
Kendall, when you made that comment in episode 46 that your vision for the page was that it would be a place where you could offload stupid memes that would make people throw up in their mouths. Did you already have that one that you ended up sharing in your back pocket?
No, I didn't. I came across it, oddly enough, in another group that I follow on.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
I'm excited.
And there is more where that came from. Like I
have no doubts.
many of them, maybe most of them are even food related.
Now, did you ever play the game with that one? I don't remember all the things in that, but it's like Jell-O, a fish mold Jell-O with all kinds of weird stuff. Did you ever play the game? How much would it take for you to try it? To try a couple bites of it?
I've never been the
not bells, actual money.
I've never been the payee in that game. But I do find that game funny.
Theoretically.
So,
knowing what's in the fish mold Jell-O with hot dogs and other weird stuff. How much would you have to get paid to take several good sized bites of it?
Oh, so see, that's the thing. When it comes to food, it wouldn't take that much. Like not as much as one might think.
You're a cheap date. $5. What's the number?
More than 5. I'd say several good sized like spoonfuls.
I gotta pull it up. We can't
talk
about it.
Yeah, see if Corey can share it on screen as we.
I will.
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
I mean,
so like, if we're talking,
it's not like a cooking spoon that you're stirring pasta with or something.
Just a
like
normal tablespoon.
A couple good bites with a tablespoon. Yeah.
I would do 2 for $20. $10 a bite. That's what I would charge.
I'd be a little more expensive. I don't know that I'd be much more, but I'd be a little more expensive than that.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to be at least $20 or $30 a bite.
Yeah. See, that's actually, when you start to think about it, that's a hard question to answer, because I think everybody, if they're, as soon as the moment they're even slightly honest with themselves, would say, yes, if I could retire right now, I would eat one bite.
Okay, so here, if you're listening, this is a good reason to go to YouTube. You can even see the name of our group and all that. But if you're listening and refuse to go to YouTube and subscribe like a good middler, it's a potluck dish that's oysters, carrots, kiwis, peas, Spam and green olives, and a fish stock gelatin mold, essentially garnished with easy cheese in the middle of the mold and around the edges.
So 2 bites.
I was thinking hot dogs. It's Spam, not hot dogs.
So Kendall, what was your answer?
$10 a bite.
$10 per bite. Dylan?
20 to 30. That's pretty gross. Because any reasonable bite, you're not only getting the fish gelatin, you're getting you're getting at least 2 to 3 bites of the other ingredients in any reasonable bite. And so I just think, like, you're getting Spam, kiwi, fish gelatin, and cheese whiz in a bite. And that's real gross.
What was your question, Dylan, about tracking when people tune out? What was?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, this is like what happened when we went to Quaker Steak and Lube, the wing place, and Dylan created the 50 wing challenge. I'll stop.
Yeah.
I was at like 43 or so wings. This is for those of you that don't know, this is an all-you-can-eat wing place. They do it on Tuesday nights. There's a flat rate of like $12, $15.
Probably 15 now. Let's say 15.
$15, and that includes your drink and is all-you-can-eat fries, but it's all-you-can-eat wings. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring them out. The first one is a basket of 5, and then they bring them out in quantities of 4.
I think it's 10 and then 4.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's 4 at a time after your main your entry basket.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't like a restaurant created 50 wing challenge. This is Dylan's own just cuz 50 wing challenge. And I was in the low 40s and I was like, okay, I have a choice. Do I plan on throwing up and just do it? Or do I want to avoid throwing up and miss the goal? And I decided to go with the latter. I didn't care enough. My ego was fine and it was in check. I didn't need to hit 50. I was like, I'm good.
Because you didn't even have the luxury of the staff egging you on. You probably got a server going, sir, you don't get anything for doing this. In fact, I'm discouraging you from doing so. This is a terrible idea.
Sir, there's no t-shirt. There's no signed dollar bill taped to the wall. There's no photo. This is your brother's personal challenge.
Dylan, were you even there? Were you there, Dylan?
Just made it up. I was. It's like Wonka going, you get nothing. There is no glory coming out of this challenge. He literally just
Dylan,
made it up because he wanted a reason to eat 50 wings.
Dylan, did you do it?
I've done it a couple times, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I could anymore.
Yeah.
Part of that at least one of those trips might have been when I was working out regularly, and that was much easier to do.
And no, you had lost a significant amount of weight, and I was like, no, this was Thurman Cafe. This was the Thurminator. I'm confusing 2 separate food challenges.
Oh, well. Also made up.
You had lost a significant amount of weight, and you were like, I can still eat the Thurminator at the Thurman Cafe. And again, for those of you who don't know, this is the Food Network's like one of the top 5 or 10 burgers you have to try before you die. This is the one that the guy that people say I look like, Adam, not Adam, whatever, doesn't matter. Food Network, Thurman Cafe, German Village, Columbus, Ohio. They have a massive
Flavortown.
Yeah, they have a massive Adam Richmond. They have a massive burger.
Why don't you pull up a picture of it while we're talking about.
You keep setting the stage.
So, I mean, they have their own sort of challenge there where if you do it, you can sign your own dollar bill and tack your dollar bill up on their wall. So it's not really a challenge because, yeah, it's not like they give it to you free or whatever. But yeah, it's basically really ideally it's so big. The best way to do it is take the top hunk of burger with toppings and bun. Yeah. And eat halfway up as a burger and then eat halfway down as a second burger. Like pull it in half and just eat it that way. Because there's a huge mound of fries and I don't even know. See, if you look at the salt shaker right there, it doesn't make it look that big, but it's very large. And so there's lots of fries. You got to eat those really quick and then try to do the burger. But it's delicious. There's a lot to it. There's a bunch of bacon and ham and cheeses and lettuce and tons of veggies. And yeah, it's ridiculous and greasy and delicious.
So you had lost a bunch of weight and you were like, oh, I could still do this. Tell them how fast.
Well, I wasn't trying to eat it fast.
He wasn't even going for speed.
One day after work, a former colleague of mine, Eric, loves telling this story because it just builds to the time, and I was not my goal. So I had worked out that day, that morning. I'd eaten breakfast, worked out, went to work. All I had was a protein bar for lunch. Knowing we were going to Thurman's, I was trying to not eat a bunch. And so by the time we got there and waited, it was so late, I was starving.
Yeah, there's like 6 tables in the place, which is
it's like 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and I've eaten a breakfast burrito and a protein bar since like 6 a.m. And so I'm just super hungry. So I ate it all in about 9 minutes.
Wow.
And I wasn't trying to eat it all in 9 minutes, but that's just how it happened because I was that hungry. And so, so that kind of became the benchmark. It's like Mario Kart when you've raced yourself and now you have the ghosts of you like that you're trying to beat now on your benchmark lap.
Yeah.
And so that became a thing. And then Corey was trying to do it.
Wow. So I wonder how many people, first of all, I don't think very many people have experienced the Terminator. Even people who, so like I've been to Thurman's several times, never ordered the Terminator.
We should go.
And I think most people probably haven't ordered the Terminator, even though they've been there. I'm willing to. I will probably never come across anybody who's ordered it twice.
Oh, I've probably ordered it and eaten. It's not my regular burger there, but I've probably eaten the whole thing 8 or 10 times.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, because a normal burger combo is like $16, and then the Terminator's like $22 or something. You're like, I'm here. And then you just order it.
I don't want to lose money on this deal.
I'm like, yeah, it's not my regular one that I get. If I'm going there with people who've been, they have another burger that's like a barbecue bacon burger or something. I get that. But I've eaten plenty of them.
Have we told the Ohio Deli story on this podcast?
No.
I don't think so. I don't know it.
Okay, this is a good one. So this was a guy's night. Gosh, I think I was still in college or it was shortly after. And it was Dylan, you and I, and John, our buddy. Who else was there?
And by the way, is Ohio Deli even around anymore?
No, it burned down.
Yeah, then they did rebuild.
Was it just the 3 of us? You, me, John?
I think it might have been, yeah.
Okay, so Ohio Deli, famous delicatessen in Columbus, and their sort of contest challenge sandwich was called the Dagwood from the famous Archie comics, where he would make massive deli sandwiches. And Dylan, you have to correct me on the math. How many pounds of deli meat?
I don't remember.
I'm gonna have to. I'm the Google guy now.
Yeah, it was multiple pounds of at least of several types of like ham, roast beef, turkey, and crazy amount of fries. I'll see if Corey can find it, but it was also huge. It's bigger than the Terminator.
Okay.
as far as sandwich and quantity of fries.
Okay, sharing screen again.
It was
This is another Adam Richman one. He came here for food man
yeah,
versus
he did
Food.
both. Yeah, he came to Ohio Deli and Thurman Cafe.
I think it's 2.5 pounds of deli meat.
Yeah,
That's a lot of deli meat. That's like more than my family can eat in a week.
You guys see that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's 2.5 pounds of deli meat.
Wow.
And then you also have to finish the fries. There's a bunch of fries that come with it.
Yeah, those pictures don't. Well, one of those does.
This one does.
Mm.
That one does it justice, but not the amount of fries.
Right.
And lots of fries. Oh,
So anyway, we're like, okay, guys' night, and we're gonna go to the Ohio Deli. Literally, we were chanting in the car on the way there, Dagwood, Dagwood, Dagwood. And so we get up to the counter all cocky, and we're like, 3 Dagwoods, please. And she goes, do you want this for the contest or just to eat it? And we're like, the contest? And she's like, all right, it's going to be a minute. They take a long time. They get people in there doing it all the time. So
Right.
They're so over it.
50,000 college students 15 minutes away. Of course, lots of people are going to try it.
So
Yeah.
we're at our booth, and the counter is behind me. And this is the part I remember. 2 or 3 big burly Columbus firemen walk in, and they have their like fireman pants on, but they're navy blue t-shirts. And I remember this like it was yesterday. They walk in, and someone is bringing out our tray of Dagwoods, and they go, oh my God, are those sandwiches? And I'm like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Needless to say, on the way home that night, remember we were like, Dagwood, Dagwood. On the way home, we're like,
So I'll say I didn't finish all of it. I did finish the sandwich, if I remember correctly.
You did.
I couldn't, and probably a third of the fries.
Yeah.
I just couldn't choke down the rest of those fries.
Mind you, that's only 2.5 pounds of deli meat. That doesn't include cheese or pickles or bread or anything else. That's just the meat itself.
Yeah. Real good. Although in hindsight, the number of like Jersey Mike's giant subs that I've eaten really feels like it outweighs a Dagwood somehow. I know I've eaten multiple giant subs from Jersey Mike's. It can't be that different.
Yeah. I have this picture in my mind, and I want to do a road trip with you guys or something where we can do this. But there's this picture in my mind. You're doing a cross-country road trip, and you stop by one of these little Texas roadside restaurants, and they have the big steak.
Yeah.
It's from a movie or a couple different movies where they've done this. But I want to do that, like the huge steak, and they're like, if you finish in an hour.
Yeah.
In my mind, I want to try that.
I'd want to try that one too. That'd be fun.
I think I could do it.
I think the more difficult ones, I think the sleepers are those massive, when they do massive omelets. Those are the sleepers, man. I don't think people realize it's like, oh yeah, just eat these 18 eggs omelet with all these veggies and this massive pizza pie pan of hash browns. You can do it, no big deal. I think those are the ones people underestimate.
I've never tried an eating challenge like that. I did the gallon challenge, the gallon of milk challenge in an hour.
Isn't that physically impossible?
No, that's something that people like to tell each other.
Okay.
That's not true. Because I'd done it. I did it.
You did it? You
Gallon of milk within an hour. Done did it, man. There's a whole group of us. There's like maybe 10 of us trying it at the same time one night at a friend's farm. And BYOM. And out of the group of us, 2 of us made it.
I saw it was either a fraternity or a youth group or something, but they all tried it on blacktop.
Oh.
So all you see are just these piles of
Man.
So
Maybe you can share that video from the middle to the middlers.
So here's the deal with that. That is, so So they said, and I guess milk now. I guess milk's actually acidic, but for some reason in my mind, I had it in my head that it was base, right? And so my thought was going into it. The rules were you had to drink a gallon of milk within 1 hour. If you puke, you're out. And so my thought was, okay, well, the science thing that everyone says, they say it's because whatever pH is going to be all awry in your stomach and it's going to reject it. And so I brought a bottle of lemon juice to try to offset that. I also practiced with drinking a gallon of milk within an hour, like a couple days heading into it. There was part of me that was like, I would just get disgusted by just drinking milk. And so I actually brought cereal with me. and what I think was clutch. So I didn't use the lemon juice. I did not use the cereal. But what was clutch for me was like milk has to be cold. So I brought 2 half gallons and put one of the half gallons in the fridge at their house. And then I downed the first one as fast as I could on purpose so that then I could wait until there was 15 minutes left to drink the second one, which was still horribly, horribly difficult. It came down to the wire for both me and the other person, who was actually a female. It was the other person who did it. It was not a pleasant experience whatsoever.
That's how it is with Dylan's 50 winger. You're like, I never want to eat chicken again.
Oh yeah. Well, I love milk to this day.
Dylan's over there eating the dry rubs, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? That's disgusting. You need it to slide down. Why are you doing? What are you doing dry rubs for? Are you a monster?
Well, finally, they let us start ordering in 2 small batches at a time. They do that for obvious reasons because people think they're going to eat a lot and they throw a lot away. And we're like, look, seriously, our minimum threshold here is 35. You need to start bringing these out like 8 at a time. So can we put in an order? And eventually they'd get a system where as soon as they drop off a batch of 4, we'd put in 2 more.
The next order, yeah.
Like the next order or 2 more orders. So it wasn't we'd finish it, then we're waiting. Then
Right.
finally, so we had a system, but I'm sitting there like pounding fries and ketchup in between. Like, I need to break up the taste a little bit. It's so good. So what I'm hearing in all of that is the 3 of us need to go get Terminators and try to
and we need to go to Quaker Steak at Polaris. You know, I heard that it's the only Quaker Steak and Lube in America that still does all-you-can-eat wing night on Tuesday nights.
Really?
That does all-you-can-eat wing night at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, this is a great question to pose to
This
the
is
middler.
a fun one.
Have you ever done a food challenge or the gallon challenge or anything like that? And would you care to share your stories?
Be a good reporter. Remember all the W's. Who, what, when, where, why. We want the whole story. And if you have pictures, we want to see those too.
Even better if. In case it wasn't crystal clear, we had no agenda for tonight's episode.
And have you ever mixed gelatin with fish sauce
Oh, God.
as a base for a Jell-O mold?
How much would
What did you put in there?
How much would you have to get paid per bite of that
Mhm.
deliciousness that we shared?
Yeah,
It's on our Facebook page or watch YouTube. You can do it either way.
yeah, that's interesting. Well, is there anything else?
I'm hungry.
I know. I'm equal parts hungry and disgusted at the same time.
Oh man. I put some mayonnaise on the stove before we started.
Is there food in Animal Crossing? It's good.
I can't go to bed without spooning down some more mayonnaise.
Nothing makes me want to snuggle up in my bed like a big spoonful of warm mayo.
You know what my favorite part about summertime is sun-aged mayonnaise.
Well, I think that's where we stop.
It's like fine wine. It just
Can you
no
make,
mayonnaise is one of those things that does not go bad. Doesn't matter how hot it gets or how long you leave it
the end
open.
of our episode has hashtag sun-aged mayonnaise at the end of all the hashtags.
I guarantee you there will be less than 2 posts ever in the history of social media.
And frankly, I don't know that I want those people seeing our posts.
Oh, that's comedic gold, folks.
Yeah.
This is what you stay late for. It's been fun catching up with you guys. I miss you guys. It's good to see
You
your
too.
faces. Is there anything else we want to say before we close this haunch down?
I'm good. That's
I'm
not what I
out.
wanted to say.
Done.
Hey,
Peace.
thank you all for listening. It brings us joy to be able to share time with one another and time with you guys. We love that you are interacting with us on the From the Middle for the Middlers page. Now who's doing weird things with their hands?
And if you're not watching video, it's not anything that I would have to testify in court about.
This is good for us. It's good for us to hang out. We appreciate that you interact and that you still listen for some reason. And yeah, I think that's it. Until next time, we have been Corey, Dylan, and Kendall, and we will see you guys next week.